The group has returned from California in episode 7, and Chip tells Corey of his plan to get Fred out of the job. He says while he doesn't have all this concrete proof, he's got a bunch of emails on where there's smoke, there's fire, and his plan is to leak it to the media and have them dig deeper to find out the real truth. And Corey tells him, if you're going to do this publicly, you better make sure that the stuff that you have is going to take him down, because Fred has been in this situation before, and if you do this publicly and it doesn't work out, you're going to lose your job. And Corey has good reason to give this warning to Chip, because Fred is in fact looking to get Chip fired for the Mitch allegations. He's looking to pin all of this on Chip. Fred is looking to let Chip go after the, quote, internal investigation comes out, and has gone so far as to put a meeting on the books with Corey and another executive producer that he knows. So Fred's planning on letting Chip go. But while Chip and Corey were meeting that night, Bradley and Mitch are meeting. Mitch is willing to show her where the bodies are buried, tell her everybody who knew, but what he wants in return is an interview. He wants Bradley to interview him on the morning show to get his side of the story out. And initially, Bradley has no interest in this. She tells him, one, they're never going to go for it, but two, I don't want you to be exonerated for this. And he says, well, the ratings would be great. You're going to get your views. It's a great story. Seems like a win-win for both parties. And on top of it, I think I can get somebody to corroborate my story. It's somebody that I slept with, and it helped their career considerably, and they don't hate me for it, and they would back up everything I said. So let me know if you want to do this story, because I'm going public with it with somebody, and it might as well be you. And what's really concerning Bradley is that this story would take down the entire show. So she's going to let Mitch know, but she's battling with it back and forth if she wants to do it or not. And then there's the matter of Alex, who that night, while people were planning interviews and coups, she was busy telling her daughter, along with her future ex-husband, that they were getting a divorce, and the daughter does not take it well. The daughter sides with the husband, saying that this family has taken a backseat to your career, and you've been extremely selfish throughout this whole ordeal. And Alex takes this really hard, because she truly does love her daughter. And the next day, right before the show, Bradley steps into Alex's dressing room and just wants to check on her, and Alex tells her that they let their daughter know that they were getting a divorce. And this is just Alex heeding Bradley's advice to be more open with her. But they have to get ready to do a show, and in the control room, Mia, Chip, and another producer are arguing about what the last story should be. And the other producer wants to do it on climate change, but Mia wants to do it on this abusive coach. And the younger producer is getting really uptight about this and really defensive, to the point where Mia says, you gotta stop talking to him like that. Chip's your boss. To which he responds with, well, then he's your boss too, so why don't you get your lips off of his ass? I mean, after all, it's what you do best. And as soon as he says it, the entire control room kind of stops, and he apologizes because he knew that he crossed the line. And even though Mia says it's fine, let's just move on, Chip says, no, it's not fine. Pack your shit and get out of here. You're fired. The kid goes, are you serious? I just told her to her face what we've been saying behind her back for the past 18 months. Chip says, yeah, no, I'm serious. Get the fuck out. You're fired. As soon as they go to break, Chip heads into his office, and Mia is right behind him. Mia demands that Chip hire him back and says, you have to hire him back. Do you think this is helping me? I know how everybody looks at me, but you have to hire him back. And Chip, who is clearly dealing with a lot of stress, says, I shouldn't be punished for this. I'm not the one who fucked Mitch, and I'm as stressed out as anybody about this whole situation. Mia just ends up walking out very annoyed, but it gives you an idea of what she has to go through with her coworkers. After the show, Chip meets with Maggie Ellison, the expose reporter who is doing a story on Bradley Jackson. This is the same reporter who interviewed Bradley Jackson and who is kind of working that page 6 angle. So she's interviewing Chip about Bradley Jackson, and he's surprised because she doesn't ask anything about the Mitch Kessler allegations. And Chip wants to give her this information, so finally he comes right out and says, I have the names that you want. I have the people who knew. But Maggie's a little thrown off by this, and she says, you've always been a good soldier. Why are you doing this? And he tries to get her to bite by saying this is a good story, and she agrees. And she says, this is a good story, but the real story is, why are you bringing it to me? So she's very hesitant to take this bait. So while Chip is trying to talk to a reporter about a former anchor, he's about to lose a current anchor of his, because Daniel Henderson has decided to meet with Audra and the competition. And what he tells her is that when he was courted to go to the morning show, he was brought there with the assumption that he would be able to do news. And now he's doing the twist. So he's worried that if he would go to the competition, it would be much of the same. So he's worried it would be a lateral move. Audra's doing everything in her power to get Daniel Henderson over to her side, even playing the race angle, but he's just worried about making the switch. But this quick meeting has to end because all of the anchors need to head back to the office to do a photo shoot for publicity purposes. And during the photo shoot, Alex tells Bradley that she's going to have to announce on the air that she's getting a divorce. And her lawyers have let her know that it's going to be awkward and painful, but also the fact that she's probably not going to come off that well when she announces it. And unfortunately, because she's a celebrity, it can't just be simply that two people fell out of love. There's got to be a story and a backstory behind it. But she sees this as an opportunity because Bradley is thought of as so, quote, real. So she invites Bradley over later that night for dinner at her house to discuss it. Now, while this is going on, Mia is in the control room just trying to get some work done, and one of the workers in the control room chastises her for the kid getting fired. She reminds him that she's not the one who got him fired, and she didn't want him to get fired, but he doesn't back up, to the point where somebody else in the control room has to tell him to drop it. And Mia gets up to leave, and he says, "I'll drop it, but some people won't." And that's when Mia has had enough. She grabs the microphone and makes a plea to everybody in the office. That to everybody, she's simply going to be that slut who slept with Mitch Kessler to get ahead in her career. But the fact is, we've all made mistakes, and I just want to get back to work. And you shouldn't judge me for this one action, because all I want to do is work and move on with my fucking life, and not be remembered as the person who fucked Mitch Kessler. Bradley immediately goes after Mia to see if she's okay, and Mia apologizes for not telling Bradley about her past relationship with Mitch. But Bradley says, "No, I'm glad you said what you said, and I'm just sorry that you had to go through this, and not only that, but you had to go through it alone." And Bradley's kind words really do put Mia at ease. But Mia's plea to her coworkers couldn't have come at a worse time for Claire and Yanko, who are heading to HR to let them know about their relationship. They didn't really have a choice, though, because somebody in the office reported the relationship, and it's a very stressful interview for both parties involved. And much like Alex with her divorce, that it can't just simply be a divorce, it's the same thing with Claire and Yanko's relationship. It can't just simply be that they're in a relationship, because they're getting questioned on who came on to who, was anybody pressured, is there an abuse of power, when was the first time you guys had sex, very intrusive stuff. And the HR person really isn't helping them out, because everything they say, the HR person's coming back with, "Well, I didn't say that, you're saying that, and you're the one implying this." And Yanko's worried about being the next Mitch Kessler, while Claire's worried about being labeled as someone who's fucking her way to the top. When the reality is, they're two consenting adults that are in a relationship. But while that relationship is trying to get off the ground floor, Alex's relationship is obviously ending, so she heads to her daughter's dorm room to smooth things over with her, because of the fact that her daughter was so upset when they announced to her that they were getting a divorce. And she's brought pizza as a peace offering, and she's just trying to explain her situation. They were two people who were in love, but they fell out of love. And this has nothing to do with Mitch Kessler. We're simply just two people getting a divorce. But the daughter doesn't want to hear any of this, and she's being extremely rude to Alex. It gets to the point where their daughter yells, "Just, you know what, get out and leave." And Alex obliges and says, "Fine, I'll leave if you want me to." And as she's leaving, her daughter says, "You know, and you're just going to go off and tell America about this whole situation, aren't you?" And that was the straw that broke the camel's back for Alex. She turns around and tells her daughter, "Fuck you. You think you know everything, but you don't. I shouldn't be punished for wanting a career and for wanting something of myself. And you think you have it all figured out? Well, then you go out and you make your dreams come true and you figure out how easy it is. You know, I sacrificed a lot for you and you're sitting here and judging me. And the fact is, I got tired of your father treating me like I was a 5-year-old. And the conversation eventually ends with a pair of fuck yous, and Alex grabbed the pizza and storms out. And the real tragedy in this whole situation is, she got a full pizza and she throws it out. And there's two girls just sitting there watching this go down, and I'm sure they were hungry because they're college students. It's just a waste of a good pizza. But then this episode comes full circle because Bradley has decided that she will agree to Mitch's terms, and if he can get someone to corroborate the story, she will push for an interview. So Mitch says okay, he gets in his car and he heads into town. But the person he meets with is shockingly Hannah the booker. And Hannah says, "Mitch, what are you doing here?" And he says, "Well, you got something out of me, and now it's time I get something out of you." So here's the part where I beg you guys to like this video, subscribe to the channel. There's a button in the top left corner there. And if you don't see the next video for this recap, not to worry, it'll be up soon. And thanks for watching.